Well, Dean, welcome back to the FrightFest Media Wall. You're now here with Charlotte. It's just screened. I think this was kind of one of the films that had the most buzz before the festival. What was the reaction like post-screening?
You know what? It was incredible. I kind of didn't expect it. There's so many people wanting to talk to all of us after about how we made it, how she portrayed Charlotte, how they made the film. And it's kind of a small film in terms of how it was made, but it feels like it's one of the bigger films. People are really interested in it, and I'm kind of blown away with it, actually. I know it's a good film, but it's just nice to see that it actually sold out as well, and everyone stayed around for Q&A, and afterwards they wanted to talk to us. So it's amazing. Testament to these guys, you know.
And what was it about, the script and Roy that made you want to get involved?
It's just something that I haven't played before. I suppose every actor will say they want to stretch themselves and try something different. Always play silly characters sometimes, and I thought, let's try something really serious and play it straight, very dramatic, but I felt it's underplayed, quite natural. That's what I was going for anyway. And the script is incredible. So many twists and turns. And I just thought, I think this is a special film. I want to be involved. So when they asked me, I was 100% yes.
And the film, it deals with some taboo subjects, some dark, there's some dark moments in it. How did you and Georgia sort of work together to create that sort of safe space so that you could access these darker emotions?
I think because we got on so well that we had a laugh between takes. There was never any moment. I know Georgia had to stay in character because she had to bring on the tears, which is hard. So I think it's more emotionally for her. For me, it was the kind of case of, I know my lines, I'm going to do this way. And as soon as the scene was cut, I'd say, do you want a cup of tea? Or, we just go back to living our normal life for 5 minutes. And then Georgia would go, right, into the next scene, and she'd start getting ready. And I would go, OK, I'm ready. So I never take too much home with me or away. But Georgia, more emotionally invested, I think, in her character. I just thought, Roy's back, bring him when I needed him.
And do you think a film like Charlotte is going to generate a lot of, discussion and debate around the themes explored?
I think it should, yeah, because unfortunately these sort of things happen. So it's hard to call it entertainment, but I always find any film, for me, as an actor, is entertainment. And some people get entertained by being scared, being frightened. So it's still entertainment, but yeah, I think it's good to have a serious message that this happens and also show as actors that we're quite good, I suppose.
I know you're at FrightFest with 3 films. They've obviously kept you busy, but is there anything else in the pipeline?
Yeah, I've got 2 horror films actually coming out next year. One called The Shug and one called The Crucifix. Play completely different characters, so a nice bit of gore, bit of gothic horror, so I'm looking forward to that. What else have I got? I've got sort of like a romantic teen drama at the end of next year to film, so I've got a few things. I'm in discussions with other people, but 100% got 2 films in post-production. So hopefully next year I'll be back with those 2 at least.
Okay, well I'll see you back at the Media Wall in a year. So Georgia, welcome to FrightFest. You are here with Charlotte, which you directed and starred in. The screening has just happened. What was the reaction like?
It was a bit overwhelming, to be quite honest, because I was nervous how people would react. Because obviously it's such a taboo subject, and it's been hard to sort of promote it and make a trailer because, we've sort of made a film where it's not quite what you think you're watching, but you don't want to give anything away. So it's been quite hard to sort of put it all together and sort of put it as like a package of come watch this. So I think I was a bit apprehensive to get people's reactions, because obviously you don't really want to tell people the full depth of what it's about. But you want to tell them just enough to make them interested. So I think overall no one sort of expected where it was going to go, which sort of, as the writer and director, that's the main thing. You don't want people to sort of guess. And I think from the general feedback, hopefully, no one sort of saw where it was going to go. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that.
And what was it about this story that made you feel compelled that it had to be told?
I think it was more about the sort of power dynamic between two people. And I think when obviously you get a vulnerable young person and someone who is more of a sort of caregiver figure, and you can manipulate that and sort of play it out in different ways, I think that does create sort of a compelling story in itself. But I think to me it was more about how I can get that story to not be stereotypical and change elements of it to sort of make it more, you know, you're sort of different to what you would usually see. So I think it was more the basic storyline and then figuring out how I can twist it all around to make it different. I think it was sort of that playing around with what I can do with a conventional sort of girl in peril, older man. What can I do with that makes it different? I think it was more that.
And obviously there's a lot of intense scenes. How did yourself and your scene partner Dean sort of work together to create that space of trust so you could access these dark places?
Yeah, I think it was a lot of discussion beforehand. So obviously it does get quite intense and there are some scenes that are very uncomfortable. So we wanted to make sure it was a safe, comfortable environment without it being too intense. So it was more about discussing it quite a lot beforehand and then getting that confidence with we know what we're going to do, and also doing very limited takes, because I think if we overdid it, it would become a bit stale, and I think the rawness is the shocking part of it. So I think having it a bit more fresh when we were doing it, we didn't sort of overdo it to the point where it became really uncomfortable. We sort of got what we needed to get, then move on sort of thing. So it was about just keeping an eye on the atmosphere and checking in with Dean and checking he was okay. And it was a very close set as well, so it was just the two of us and Martin on the set, so we could take breaks and really sort of talk through it before we sort of went in for another take.
As much as this is, you know, this is a story of Charlotte and Roy, but the house, I feel, is almost like an extra character. Where did you find that location, and what do you think that it brings to the piece?
I always envisioned it being sort of in a countryside. I think, you know, we didn't want to go down the route of it being sort of in busy London and things like that. And I think for me, like you said, the location is sort of an extra character. And I think it's so beautiful and it's so calm and so still. And when you're sort of outside of the house, it's just got this sort of level of calmness and beauty, and it's so contrasting as to what's going on inside the house. And to me, I thought it was quite interesting that literally one doorway can separate two completely different worlds. And I think for me, you know, the outside of that house being so open and free compared to the confines of the inside was a very, very big contrast. Like, she's so close, but it's just, you know, what her surroundings were at that time sort of represented how she felt, and I think that's why we chose the countryside and somewhere so open to contrast with what was actually happening in the story.
And for those that haven't been at Charlotte today, where can they follow on socials to find out more news about festival releases and things?
So it's just the Charlotte movie on Instagram and Twitter, and we post a lot on our personal Instagram as well, so we just keep up to date on there, so any future news we will post on there.
Great, well thank you so much and enjoy your festival.
Thank you.
So Martin, welcome to FrightFest. You are here with Charlotte, which kind of pre-festival was one of the ones that had the biggest buzz. It's had its screening now. What was the reaction like?
I mean, obviously anyone can say this, but I was actually genuinely surprised by the reaction. It was actually a bit overwhelming. We were sat back at the back row, and I'm like, you know, super critical of myself and what we've done, but, you know, at the end, it did seem, I got the impression, I mean, that people seemed to like it, which was really encouraging, because obviously we've been hiding away, just, you know, tinkering around with the scenes, and not many people have seen it, so we're going off our own judgment. Is this any good? And it's basically just been me and Georgia just thinking, hopefully, I don't know. So it was nice when people were actually coming over to us and sort of saying that they liked it. It was really nice.
I think I'm right in saying this is an idea that Georgia had kind of had and kind of put to one side, and then you kind of helped encourage her to start it?
It was the opposite to that. It was basically the quick backstory is that I wrote a script which was pretty similar to the story that it is now, and we met up and we sort of I cast Georgia as an actor, and somebody else who had Dean's role, and it kind of it weren't working for some reason, and I put a few scenes together and we were like, oh, it's kind of not working. So then me and Georgia got talking, and that's when we sort of became friends. We started thinking, well, let's rewrite it, let's do it properly, let's rethink the whole thing. And then obviously, because George is an actor, she's amazing at knowing what actors, dialogue-wise, what is going to be, genuine dialogue. And she's more focused on, because I'm a more visual and more behind-the-scenes kind of person. She was more focused on the motivations of the characters, making sure it was realistic and not too filmy, and was sensitive to the subject. She just brought a whole new life to it, and I didn't have any problem sort of taking a step back. Once we'd sort of ironed out all the creases in the story and discussed things, it became more her. The script is completely George's. I was just sat next to her going, "Ooh, yeah." Oh, just reading it as it's being typed out. I'm like, oh, I never thought of that. But yeah, no, she's amazing.
And I know that this film had, quite a small cast and crew. How was it sort of traversing all the different roles? Because I know you weren't just a writer, you had a hand in quite a lot of this.
Well, I think, it was kind of some good and some bad. Basically it was literally just me and Georgia. That was the only crew that were there. She was directing, she was keeping schedules, making sure we're on time, making sure people were wearing the right tops, sort of working on her own performance. And I was there kind of frantically just grabbing cameras and lenses and putting little lights up going, oh, that'll do, just chaos. But like, I think it worked in our favour not having other people getting involved, because then our vision, how we had it in our heads, was completely able to just come out as we wanted it to. The same thing with editing as well. Like we got complete control over the film. Maybe it would have been nicer to have some professional lighting people and a bigger crew to go and even if a few runners. But like, I think with this, weirdly, it kind of worked in our favour in some ways, just keeping it a small crew, because we wanted to trust ourselves and not really, take too much outside opinion into it, so that we could sort of, the thing we had in our head, we could execute exactly what we sort of wanted, and maybe next time we'd probably have a bigger crew to save us some heart attacks, but I think that worked quite well for this one.
And finally, for people that weren't able to get into the sold-out screening, where can they follow along to find out news about more screenings?
Well, I mean, I suppose we've got a Facebook page, Twitter, and that kind of thing. It's quite easy to find. It's possibly going to be streaming late this year. We're not sort of set that in stone yet. We have got licenses in place, but we're sort of still open. I think we don't want to rush into something. We want to sort of maybe chat to people first, but I don't think it's going to be long until people can see it. I'm not sure about any other festivals or cinema release or anything like that, but I'm hoping soon people will be able to sort of access it somewhere.
So follow along on those socials, and all that information will be there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Go and enjoy your evening. Now the